The twilit forest was hot and muggy. Not a breath of air stirred the motionless trees, and the invisible creatures were ominously silent, as if they were waiting for some cataclysmic storm to erupt around them. There was an electric menace in the humid stillness, and the trees hung like dormant monsters awaiting their hour to spring to life and stalk across the land in reawakened and invincible majesty. For the land was troubled. Majesty had been abolished, and an unnameable terror lurked everywhere. Without warning, leaves suddenly shivered and branches creaked and swayed. In the thickly clustering undergrowth, twigs broke off and flew in all directions as the foliage whipped back and forth, and leaves were sucked in a violent swirling vortex into the air. The tall shadows were filled with a harsh grinding wail, as if some vast, primitive being were in torment. A dark alien shape thrust the branches aside and flattened the mossy ground like a giant foot, growling and rumbling as it gradually solidified. Its great winking yellow eye gave a final malevolent glare and went dark. Its tormented roars subsided. The flying leaves and shattered twigs fluttered to the ground as the tortured foliage ceased its lashing struggle. The forest held its breath, as if listening and watching to see what the alien intruder would do. But for a long time it did nothing at all. It was a blue-painted wooden structure, rather like a fat sentry box. On its roof was an amber-colored beacon, and around the top sat a row of frosted glass windows. Above the windows on each side was a neatly painted notice announcing that it was a police public call box. Another notice on a metal panel beside the main door explained how the public could use the telephone behind the panel to contact the emergency services. In the humid shadows, the object looked completely out of place. It was also completely out of its time. Inside the police box, 4 people were standing around a large hexagonal console which was covered in dials, displays, gauges, buttons, levers, and other highly advanced instruments. In the center of the console, a transparent cylindrical mechanism which had been slowly spinning to and fro and rising and falling was just settling to rest, watched intently by the 4 onlookers. Around them, the chamber, which was about the size of a large high-ceilinged room, hummed and murmured like some giant electronic beast. Its white walls were composed of cellular panels, each with a central hole. Apart from the console in the middle, the chamber was bare except for odd items of bric-a-brac, like an ancient brass astrolabe and a rickety wooden armchair drawn up to the controls. A severe-looking old man bent over the console, frowning as he tinkered with buttons and switches. His long silver hair was brushed straight back from his lined and hollow-cheeked face, and his mouth was compressed in a thin strip which turned down at the ends in a kind of grimace of permanent disapproval. His sharp grey eyes gleamed with vigilant attention, peering down his beak-like nose at the array of instruments under his bony fingers. The old man was dressed in a short black frock coat, a white shirt with wing collar, a narrow cravat tied in a large untidy bow, a striped waistcoat and baggy check trousers slightly too short for him. With an irritable grunt he straightened up, threw back his large head, and stared at his 3 younger companions, his nostrils flaring impatiently. "There you are, then. England. Home," he snapped, twisting a large ring round and round on the middle finger of his right hand. A tall, dark-haired woman of about 28, wearing a full-skirted, sleeveless dress, tightly belted round her slim waist, put her hand on the old man's arm. "Doctor, we really do appreciate all you've—" The old man waved her aside. "Quite, Barbara. Young Chesterton here has made your position perfectly clear," he said coldly, gesturing at the young man who was standing beside her, with his hand on the shoulder of a girl of 16 with huge, sad eyes. "And now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do." The young girl clutched anxiously at his sleeve, her lips trembling, and her brown eyes glistening with tears.